what drives me is just like that journey I went through. Like I really believe that my parents are still watching over me, and I just want to make them proud every day. That's what's driving me.
What was going through your mind when your name was called to the Junos?
Oh, I feel like I went blank. There was nothing going through my head at that moment. Honestly, like I would just, oh my God, it was a shock for sure. I mean, I was there to perform and just have fun with it and just show up for my people and everybody else. But yeah, that award actually made my night, and yeah, it felt great, man. I could definitely call that an achievement on my end for sure.
You seem to have, for someone who felt kind of blank, you seem to have like real clarity when you got up on stage. Like I remember watching you that night you won, and I felt like when you got up, you knew what you wanted to say, you knew what you wanted to get out there.
I was actually kind of surprised too. My team kept asking me, "What if you win? Do you have a speech ready? Do you have this ready? Do you have that ready?" And I'm like, "Hey, like if I actually I don't know if I want to have a speech ready. Like it's just like, what if I don't win? I'll feel so bad and stuff." And then I don't know. I guess I was just speaking from my heart, and it just came out. I didn't even know, like it just came out of me. I feel like it was just me being real, right?
It feels like it's a meaningful award, that it's the public voted award. It's the fan voted award,
Yeah. Yeah, 100% it is. I definitely believe that. I'm happy I was nominated for that category, because that just shows you how much support and love and how much people actually care about you. Like I sometimes get just surprised, like I am just a singer, and then some people, like we were talking about this little story before the show, like they just relate to you so much, and they just literally give you everything they have. They come see you on your shows. Like they don't have to do that, but they still do it because they just love you so much, and it's a great feeling to like be a part of that, to witness it.
I was speaking to a fella, and he and his family, had come to Canada about 10, 15 years before, and they were all working that night, and they decided to stop working to go home and to sit in front of the TV to watch your award, to see if you won, and to watch your performance. God.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about, man. That's a great feeling. If music can do that, man, like I'm doing music forever. Like that's great.
I want to talk a little bit about the thing you said in your acceptance speech. You said, "Sometimes I just can't believe I'm that same kid that lost his parents in India and made his way out to Canada." I want to talk about that kid growing up in India as much as you're comfortable. To tell me more about him. What were you like as a kid?
I mean, I was like every other kid, right? But then all of a sudden, I just got hit with this tragedy. Like I lost my dad in 2006, and then I lost my mom in 2011, and I've just saw them going through so much at such an early age. Like I was like 9 years old, and then 11 years old, and then I was just by myself, like basically stuck in India. At my house, like there was family that was taking care of me, but my sisters were out here in Canada because they got married and all that or whatever, and then my mom and dad passed away. We were supposed to come out here together and like make a living or do whatever, but the plans didn't really go, like it didn't go as planned, and then they passed away, and now I had to like sort out my documentation and just stay in India by myself. And that was a big responsibility. I feel like it just opened my eyes too early. Like sometimes I feel like I don't know why that happened so early, but sometimes it's just like maybe like it was meant to happen. I guess like it taught me so much too. Like I was the kid that used to like iron his own uniform to go to school. Like every morning, get up in the morning, iron my uniform, put it on, dress myself up, and eat and go to school in India, so that just really taught me a lot, how to be more responsible, more independent. And yeah, man, there's just so many stories when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't even know sometimes what to talk about because there's just so much that was happening. Yeah.
The thing that sticks out to me that you said, man, is you said like, it really opened my eyes and it feels like it might have been too early to do that. I know.
Yeah.
Like I lost my a parent when I was younger, not as young as you, but I lost a parent when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I've often told people that like that is life kind of begins again. You sort of see
Mhm.
life differently after that in a good
Exactly.
way
Yeah.
and in a bad way. But to be nine,
Yeah. 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 I mean, that was really hard, man. Like I couldn't process my emotions. I didn't know what anxiety was. Like at that age, especially being in India, like there's not like we weren't really educated enough to know about like emotions or stress or anxiety or
yeah,
trauma or any of this stuff. Like now when I got educated and I look back at that kid, I'm like, okay, how was you doing this? Just going through it. Or even when I think about my parents, like they didn't know what like being stressed was, but they were going through it. And I just feel bad sometimes. Like I wish they were here today so I could just show them the real world and make them understand like what living is actually. Just show them some easy time for a little bit. But I guess that would never happen.
was there music in the house? Were you musical as a kid? Are there early
uh
signs of you as a kid being a musician?
you know what, nothing at all. Like that just surprises me. Nobody in my family was ever into music. So like it was just me. Like my dad used to write us letters and all that. Like we had phones back then, but he had a habit of writing. But he wouldn't like write songs or anything. But he just when he would be away, like he'd just write us letters. So I guess sometimes I think about it too. I guess that's where it came from. But I just started rhyming it. But most of it basically came from, I guess, the pain and the things I was going through. Like I just didn't want to. I didn't know. I wanted to. I just didn't know how to talk to somebody about my feelings. And so I just started putting them down on paper, I guess, and that's how I started writing. That's what I kind of managed to figure.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't. You were going. By the way, we can move on from this whenever you want. But you
Yeah,
were
I'm okay.
like, you were like, because it's not a story, man. Like this is something that happened to you. Like
Yeah,
you were going through this tremendous too young tragedy,
yeah,
and you feel like you can't talk to anyone about it. Like you can't share
yeah,
how sad you are or how messed up this
yeah.
is or how you're
Like,
feeling.
yeah, I didn't know how. Like, I had some cousins. Like, I didn't know what to talk to them about. Like, do I tell them like I miss them or like what was it? It was just such a shock. I didn't
Yeah,
know. Like, and especially
yeah,
being back in India is different, right? Like, you don't really like talk about your feelings to people. Like now they do, but back then, honestly, like there was nothing like that. Like I was never taught to do that or whatever. And yeah, man, like I just couldn't do it, and I just started putting it out on paper. I still remember my first song was like a sad song, like I'm tired of my life, this and that. I was writing that in Punjabi, so that was my first time like writing basically on a paper and writing about how I felt, and like I just basically don't have no reason to live. That was the main hook line of that was the chorus of that track. I still remember, and that's when I realized, okay, maybe that's why I did that, because I didn't know how to talk to anybody. And then I slowly started realizing, like, okay, maybe I could just turn this into a hobby and then profession. And it took some time, but it happened over the time, sure.
was that in Canada or was that in India?
No,
You
I
wrote that.
started writing back in India,
Yeah,
and then I started like giving my like I think I was like 14 and a half years old or 14, somewhere around there, where I first time I actually wrote something on a paper. And then by 15 and a half, 16, I gave one of my songs away to one of the local singers in Punjab. Like
yeah.
he's big too even today. His name is Jussi Gill. Big shout out to him. And he sang my first ever song, right? And that song released when I came to Canada. So it took over 2 years to get that out. But that kind of gave me recognition around my village and all that. Yeah.
Also, it must have given you this feeling that, like, hey, man, I went through this really tough thing. I went through this unimaginable tragedy, and I wrote this thing about it. And now you're telling me that a really big deal producer and a really big deal musician and artist
Yeah.
is singing your words. I mean, that's got to be meaningful to a 14, 15-year-old.
Exactly, like just people figuring out and coming up to me like, hey, you wrote this? Because back then in Punjab, it was a trend to put your name tag at the end of the song. So my name tag was Karan Karale. That basically means Karan from Kerala, which is my village name. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cringe now that I think about it, but but like it was a trend, like
Yeah, I get it.
everybody
I get
used to
it.
do that, and I was just living for that feeling. Some singers saying that in his song, and people hearing it, like in my village or around that village. I wasn't even thinking like, okay, I want to get big in India or all of Punjab or outside of Punjab. I just want to get big in my village. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of recognition.
So that's all happening. You're getting a bit of recognition in Punjab, like it's starting to happen. What do
Yeah.
you remember about coming to Canada?
I mean, remember everything, man. Every single bit of it. Like just from hopping onto the plane in Delhi, having my connecting flight from Heathrow and landing in Vancouver. My family coming to receive me. My sisters were here. Their little kids. Just getting outside of the Vancouver airport for the first time. Like it was, again, I was like, okay, like this is the beginning of something totally different and new. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back or if I'm going back or when I'm going back. So yeah, just forget about everything. My friends from back home or like even my house that I was born at. Like I was born in a house. I wasn't born at a hospital. So like I was born there,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was I was living there. So
yeah.
that's just a strong feeling, and I still have that house. But yeah, coming from there out here, it was kind of it was life changing too. I liked it too because finally I was with my sisters and my family. Like I was just in India by myself and my uncles for 3 years. I hadn't seen my family. I was just talking to them over the FaceTime, phones. But it was finally good to see them and just, actually like talk to them, just, make them cook me food. I was living with my sisters for a little bit, yeah.
And working, right? You were working as a longshoreman for a while?
Yeah, so I landed in Canada in 2014. I've been really lucky. Like my family's been really supportive like that. Like they're used to pay my bills and stuff. I didn't even have enough bills to pay. It was just like my phone bill or maybe some pocket money. So my sisters and, their husbands or everybody, they took care of me. And but then I wanted to be more independent again because it was hard, every time. For 3 years, I would just go into school, meeting new people, writing songs. You know what I mean? But in 2017, I got into Longshore and I did that for like, I would say like a year, but like on and off. Because I don't know if you know, but you could actually pick your shifts. So that gave me a lot of like free time too to actually make time for music. Like I wasn't tied up to a job. Like I had to show up in the morning. It was like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
pick your own hours,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
got really lucky there. I feel like, like I got that job. Then I was like, okay, it's getting better. I'm producing more songs. At that point, I was still giving most of my lyrics away, just selling my lyrics. I wasn't singing myself and just, going through it. And then I started singing myself.
When did the transition happen? Like you were giving your music away,
Yeah,
you were giving your lyrics away, you were giving them to other artists. Other artists were going to be recording them.
exactly. Yeah.
When did the transition happen for you to start performing them
So,
yourself?
yeah. So let's say I was giving my lyrics away from 20, like, I don't know, whenever, when I was in India until like 2017 or something. I had recorded a song and put it out. It didn't really work out. And then I was like, you know what, forget about it. Just write for other people.
Yeah,
And
okay. You learned your lesson. You're like, hey, this
yeah,
is not for me.
exactly. I
That
was like,
didn't
you
really
know
do.
what?
Yeah,
But it was actually in that last 1 year, but I didn't really give up. I waited for like 6, 7 months. I was like,
yeah,
you know what, wait. But I was still giving like my songs away to a lot of like big local singers or like Indian singers, Punjabi singers mostly actually. Uh, like like they were pretty big at that time and like everybody would know if you worked with them. And so I was doing that and then making my relationships with some of the producers in Canada, going to their studios, tell them like, okay, I'll keep writing for you guys, I'll write you an album, just let me record one song. Like it was always like that, like because I didn't have enough money to pay them for music, but I do wanted to record my song, but properly. I wanted somebody to give me attention as a singer, not as like a writer. Like, okay, like you write for other people. But it slowly happened. I recorded some of my songs, and everybody around me started realizing that too. Like, okay, like you actually sing better than other people. Like you give your songs to other people, they can't deliver the same. The flow changes. Sometimes they can't sing the same melody, so it's better. But I was just wondering, like, how to put this out. Do I get a budget get signed and then put it out. I did that for like, I would say 2 tracks. It didn't work out. And then, it's a long story, but long story short, I met some of my friends, some of my boys. We're still together today. We made it happen. And then we opened up our own channel, basically. I didn't have no money, and my friends had some money to support me. They were all working, and I still had a job. I didn't want to go work and, gather up that money, because I was like, okay, I have this one thing. I could write for people, and I will just do that little,
Yeah.
Like trade in like songs. Like I'll give him lyrics, give me music,
Yeah.
put it out, whatever. So I made my relationships. I was getting better at it. Then more producers wanted to work with me too. So now there was no money involved. Like it was just about creating a masterpiece. So that's when I made my own channel, started singing my own songs and then putting them out on my own YouTube channel, basically. And we were moving independently. And we started hitting 5 million views, 7 million views, the third release, 20 million views. And then a time came in 2018, October, when I put out this track, Don't Worry.
Don't worry.
And
Yeah.
and it was doing like 5 million views a day, man. And I still remember my poster guy's like, yo, this song is, he was back in India. He's like, bro, this song is bumping in every car. I'm going to send you 100 million poster too. Because we were used to post like posters. Okay, now it's 50 mil. Now it's 60 mil, It was like an advertisement thing. And then it actually reached 100 million views. And I was like, okay, like these views are actually real because they were paying me. You know what I mean? And that's when I started believing, like, okay, music could actually pay you, And then that's when I made the decision, okay, like, I want to stay independent most of the times and just put my own music out and write for myself. I still work with other people. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Not at all.
Yeah, but I still give some songs away, but to the people that I really want to work with. Like I wrote a song for Diljit Dosanjh GOAT. He recently sold out a BC Place Stadium. So that's like history for all the Punjabis. There's 54,000 people out there, and he opened up the show with one of the songs that I've written for him. So I like stuff like that,
So I want to talk about that moment in just a second, but I just want to go back a little bit. What's going through your mind, man? After everything you just told me, you were like, hey, I went through this unspeakable tragedy. Like I couldn't tell anybody how I was feeling. I start writing songs, but the songs I have don't really work out. Yeah. I'm doing a day job. I'm working early mornings, working on the docks in Vancouver. My songs are getting big in India, but I'm not seeing any cash. I'm not seeing any money. And all of a sudden, 100 million streams? Like what goes through your mind in that moment? What are you feeling emotionally?
It was a lot, man. It was like it still felt like a dream. Like it was like, okay, like, you know what? Even today, like, sorry, I'll go back there, but even today when I put out a song, it feels like I'm putting out my first song ever. Or whenever I play a show, it doesn't feel like, okay, like I'm going to go in there and get it done. Like, oh, so many people happen. It's my daily, like, thing, like, or it's so usual. Nah, like I still feel that excitement when I'm dropping something or playing for 10,000 people. But back then, like I was just going at it, man. Like every time like the first time it happened, like the Don't Worry song popped off, I was like, okay, my first reaction was, let's work on the next one, and I just kept making music after that. I was in the studios, like I would sleep in the studio. I would like just wake up there, make songs, write for other people. So I made sure like I kept dropping. So back then I was basically dropping every month. So I feel like that played a big role in my career too, just being consistent. Like I was cooking every day, picking the right songs, dropping single tracks every month. I didn't do any EPs until after, I would say until 2021, or like 2021 was my first album. So for 3 years, I was just dropping single tracks, and it was just being consistent. People kept loving it more and more. I dropped a track called Don't Look, and it popped off in Punjab, and that was my dream. And after that, things just got better.
I mean, and then there's Mexico, which I really dug. Like, when do you start bringing hip hop? Like, who were your hip hop influences to start bringing hip hop into this?
Yeah. So like, I was obviously out here like listening to hip hop music, as soon as I got into Canada, I made some friends. I was at school. They were listening to all these guys like Jay-Z, or like, I don't know, Kevin Gates was used to pop in my school so much, or like J. Cole. Like, I was into J. Cole and Jay-Z because they were actual creators, or like Kanye West, or like everybody that was producing or like making songs, rapping, right? And most of the times I was really bad at first, like just getting what they were saying. So like reading the lyrics really helped me a lot, because I was doing so much, man, like trying to learn the language too. Like, we forgot about
Oh
that.
yeah, I never
So
even thought
like,
about that. Yeah, you had to learn English too.
yeah, like, so there was so much going on. So, but going to school here really helped me a lot, and I had to force myself to speak English. I'm still not too good at it. Like, I have to translate in my head. But it's like that millisecond, I say it to myself in Punjabi, then I translate it, and I'm talking
Right.
to you.
Right.
It's like that process, but it's quick. It's quick. But yeah, I was still learning English, so I would, listen to these songs, then I would try and get them, then slowly I started getting it, and then I started looking at the style of music, the beats, the sampling Jay-Z and them were doing, like, I mean, he's a master of it, like the sampling and the soul sounds that Kanye and all these guys were producing, and I was like, can this work with Punjabi music? I still had a question. I still didn't try it at that time because I was working with producers. We were trying a little bit of like hip hop stuff, but mostly I was producing for Punjab, and I just wanted to make desi tracks using like Indian instruments mostly, and have the drums a little hip hop, but the instruments were mostly Indian, like dole, or like, I don't know, tumbi, mandolin, this, that, like
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
And even the way we would play it, like, compose it, it would be really Indian. And then it was working now, so we were doing that. And then I tried to do like the transition slowly, like getting people get used to it, still give them what they want. Like, they really love our own, like, I love my own music, like Saj, every single Saj, like it sounds same, instruments, not sound same, I mean, it sounds different. And like, they're all my favorite. I love to pick them up, put them on like a hip hop beat. Like, I did this album with Truth called BTFU. So when you go through that album, like, you could just literally tell the blend of Punjabi culture, like Punjabi instruments, and hip hop, like what Jay-Z or Nas or everybody was doing. So we tried to do it there. And now I'm trying to take it to more like pop, funk, Punjabi. We're just trying to create our own genres, like, basically, like, and it's happening over the time.
You want to talk about how it's happening? Let me just talk about this for a second. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, really happening right now. I mean, there's
Yeah.
massive headlines about artists like you, like and AP Dillon, and
Yeah.
Gurinder Gill, like just massive, huge shows happening. I mean, you just mentioned the show at BC Place, shows at you're playing Scotiabank Arena, shows at the Sky Dome. People are calling it the Punjabi wave, with the massive success that this music is having right now. I don't know if you have an answer for this, but like, what's it like on the inside? What are you seeing on the inside?
To be honest, that's actually a really good question. Nobody asked me that. On the inside, it's not really. I'm also trying to do experiment every day. So every time I get into the studio, I don't go in there thinking like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on today. Sometimes I'll just sit there for 8 hours just going through sounds. You know what I mean? Like, what do I like? Like, what do I like? What can I throw? Where can I like use Punjabi instruments? What drums can I do? Like, whatever. Like, we sit with like me and you'll be going through it all day. But honestly, we're just like, we're not thinking too much. We're just doing it. I'm just making music. I feel like it's just that process have taught me so much that it automatically changes every 3-4 months. Like, my sound, the way I write, like, it automatically, naturally changes. And I feel like that's been happening over the years too. Like, first I was doing more Punjabi sounds, as we were talking about. Then I started doing like BTFU, put that on hip hop drums. Then I released this EP Way Ahead, which was like me having YG on that track. That was like straight, I don't know, like more auto-tune, like ASAP Rocky, Travis Scott type of vibes, more trap. And then after that, we made Making Memories, which is like more happy, mainstream, commercial stuff. And even in future, like, I'm just trying to change it, even in For You, it was more like hard beats. Like, it was really inspired from Jay-Z or like all these guys, like from America, like the icons of hip hop, like that we really respect. And end of the day, like, we're just getting inspired from, like, this music exists for people is what I'm trying to say out here. But my people are just getting used to it, and they love it now when we're doing these experiments, putting Tumbi on, like, how Punjabi MC did it back in the days. Like, that went big. Who knew, like, a Punjabi track will be playing at raves? And I feel like that needs to come back again with another track.
But what's it like for you to see these numbers, man? Like, what's it like for you to see these? I mean,
man.
you've talked about how the Canadian music industry wasn't necessarily like overly supportive of this music or this genre of music or these styles of music. Like, what's it like to see what's it like to see the numbers? What's it like to see the sellout crowds and the streaming numbers? And
Yeah, man, it's a great feeling. I mean, it's a huge deal too. Like, I just started realizing that, before I was just making music, not looking at it too much. But then my team started telling me, okay, like, what's funny? I just logged into my Apple for Artists like 1.5 years ago. Like, I didn't even have my login for that. Like, it's so funny. Like, I wasn't looking at where I was streaming. Like, how funny is that? Like, I was like, I was missing a whole lot of stuff right here, because that really teaches you a lot. Like, okay, what you need to change and what areas you need to hit more. But when I saw those numbers as you asked me, oh my God, I was like, okay, this is really happening. It's working out. Especially in a country like Canada, you're hitting like, I don't know, like 600,000 streams a day. Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
something going on in BC, man. There's something going on at a BC, like,
Yeah. And Ontario as well, I like Toronto as well, Like, I love making music there. I worked on making memories, half in BC, half in Toronto.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing Canadian story,
I love it.
But I want to point out that these streams and these numbers aren't all necessarily Punjabi speakers. I mean, like, I was thinking about this. I was talking to, well, actually, let me start this way. Like, I was thinking about Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, massive numbers all around the world singing in Spanish. I interviewed Shakira last month, and she said, like, Tom,
wow.
when I first started, I had to learn how to sing in English because there was no hope for me as a non-English performer. I had to learn English and write in English.
Exactly.
And she said, like, look at these performers like Bad Bunny. I mean, like, they're able to sing in Spanish and they're able to have
that's it.
So,
or even
like,
Afro, right? Like, even Afro, yeah.
What does that
Like,
tell you
that's
about the way
crazy.
people are listening to your music? That it's not all Punjabi speakers who are listening to your music.
I feel like it's so nice to see that the world is more open to new music and new languages. Like, music is music. That's what I feel like. As long as you like it, you should just, be able to vibe with it. Like, I don't, like, even I listen to a lot of Spanish music, but I just know how to say hola. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, man, like, you see what I'm trying to say? Like, music is music, and I feel like that's coming with Punjabi music as well. And it is needed. And we are working, like, not just me, every Punjabi artist is working every day to make something great that the world will show love to. Like, it just can't be anything either, but like, it has to be a great song. But I'm trying to make that one track that'll just go everywhere. Like, I've said it before too, like that Despacito moment.
Yeah.
Like that.
You're trying to make a Despacito.
Yeah, like with Punjabi, and I have full faith that that's going to happen one day. Yeah.
It's all been so quick how big this has gone, how quickly this has happened to you. How's the fame been? What's the most surprising thing about? Because it's an unsettling thing too. I know, the fame and the celebrity and and all that. How are you finding that?
I mean, it's fun, but it's hard to deal with it sometimes. Like, there's so many situations that sometimes people don't know about. An artist has to deal with. Sometimes, like, I've been through so many situations over the years. Like, I don't know, for example, so I've been threatened, or like, or anything like that. Like, and there's so much mental stress sometimes, because you have to keep up with your career and take care of your family, take care of yourself, be safe, and deal with, fame, stay humble as well, because, you can't be flying too much. That's what I feel like, you just gotta stay grounded, and that really helps. I just try not to think about it too much. I don't try to let that get to my head. But it gets hard sometimes. Sometimes it gets to your head. I'm going to admit that. But as long as you know that, there's a lot more to do, and there's so many other people bigger than you, or like, you know, even lower than you, that don't have what you have, or that have more than what you have. Is just like a good thing to tell yourself sometimes. Yeah.
The thing I'm hearing here is persistence. Like you're in there every day. You're still like, you're selling out massive arenas, but you're still in the studio. You're still writing. Right. You weren't making any money. You were still writing. You're still writing.
Yeah, basically.
Can I ask what is that? What drives you?
I feel like it's that I would say it's that pain inside of me. Like, I really want to do something now, and I've always wanted to, like, especially after whatever happened to me, and it was just like something telling me like, okay, like, you can't stop now. Basically, I had nothing to lose now. You know what I mean? Like, and I just had to go. But one thing I'll tell you, like, I still don't feel like working sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel like working on anything, or sometimes I don't feel like rehearsing for 2 months for a show. But you know what? That's not it. You gotta get up and just do your thing. It's just your mind telling you every time, nah, be lazy. Just don't do anything good for yourself, you know? That's what I figured. I feel like it's that. What drives me is just like that journey I went through. Like, I feel, I really believe that my parents are still watching over me, and I just want to make them proud every day. You know, that's what's driving me.
There's a tremendous amount of pride surrounding
Thank you.
I hope you feel that, and it's a pleasure to get the chance to talk to you, man. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you. This was really real. Thank you. I appreciate it.